All right, this ain't just a show. This is a platform. Veteran built, battle tested. Welcome to the MisFitNation. Yeah! Mic in the room, built from boots on the ground, now we breaking the rules. 2 vets, 1 leader, painting the sound, turn scars into sermons, let them echo around. Authors with truth, musicians with fire, actors backstage chasing something higher. Entrepreneurs bleeding just to get ahead. If you fought for your dream, yeah, you are what you said. If they told you no, if you still came back, if you fell to your knees but you stayed on track, this is your voice, this is your flame. Say it loud, remember the name. No salvation, just elevation. We rise again. From the fight to the end. We are the MisFitNation. No damn labels, no damn cages. If you're still breathing, you belong. Turn it up. This is our song. Yeah. This is our song. Yeah. Veterans standing with ghosts in the chest. First responders running in while the world second guess. Gold star names carved deep in the soul. Your story ain't over, we carry the whole. Coaches teaching mindset, breaking the chains, turning barely alive into owning the pain. Truth over polish, scars on display. If it's real, let it bleed. That's the MisFit way. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. It's stop right now. We're the more than you know. Don't walk alone. Veterans press 1, bring it home. Don't trade forever for tonight. You're still needed in this fight. We are the MisFitNation, built from scars and dedication. We rise again. From the fight to the end. We are the MisFitNation. Every voice is vindication. From the silence to the scream, we're strong. Welcome home. You belong.
Woo! All right, MisFitNation, welcome back. It's the Thursday after dinner edition. It's coming at you live for the last time from Frederick, Maryland. It's been a great trip up here, and we'll head back to Las Vegas tomorrow. A long 10-hour drive, but we'll tag up and make sure we do those little rest things so people think we're being safe and such. Tonight we'll have a great guest, but I want to share a story. Today, me and my partner Jake, we went to a museum here, the Monocacy battlefield. We walk in, I'm wearing my 101st hoodie. There's a gentleman there, the usual volunteers, and he says, "Oh, I like that sweat jacket." I said, "Thank you, sir." I looked down on his chest. He had the Vietnam map and the 101st Airborne Division crest on his shirt. That just brought those chills into us, and we just started bonding and talking. He told us stories of Vietnam, told us stories of a famous Clarksvillian, Ted A. Crozier, the mayor of Clarksville, and now a street's named after him. So he learned a lot of stuff about Ted Crozier, and he was able to share things with us that probably Ted Crozier don't want people to know, or his family doesn't want people to know about the things he did to people in Vietnam, as far as his own people. But he also gave us basically an overview of that museum, an overview of that battlefield that I've never got anywhere else in my life. So I was very happy to be there with him, and he received their MisFitNation coin today. His name is Mr. Craig Gillis. So if you're ever at the Monocacy battlefield, make sure you look him up and just give him a handshake and say thank you for your service, thank you for my freedom, and rock on with him. Great guy, great man, great museum. Tonight, we have a U.S. Army veteran. He wasn't in the 101st, but we don't hold that against him. His name is Jeremy Jackson. He survived a combat injury in the Army in Iraq. Sniper shot him in the arm, a 7.62 bullet. Made his arm pretty much useless for that time, and I'm not sure how much he has back now. Went home, battled through that injury, and then he got into a heated divorce with his wife and wound up losing custody of his children. And that's why he's here tonight, to talk about that battle. And he's going to share his story. And I'm going to bring him in here so he can share the rest of his story, because it's better when the man says it himself. So, Jeremy, welcome to the Misfit Nation.
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me, man.
It's awesome to have you here. I'm glad we can be a little point of this, a little point sounding board for you as you go through this journey.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is probably one of the first podcasts I've actually done. I'm one of those kind of guys that I'm kind of like nervous about being out in, public and stuff. I'm not a big camera and video guy, picture guy, but I think this is such an important thing going on here that I have to, not just for myself, but for everybody that's going through this. Because, man, I'll tell you what, I never knew nothing about this until it happened to me. And here we are.
Yeah. This is nuts. Tell us a little bit about why you joined the best service, the Army, in the first place.
Absolutely, man. I was one of those kids, didn't really have much going on with life. I was a plumber with my dad. Didn't want to be in school or go to college, but I didn't want to be a plumber all my life either. So I did that for a while. My upbringing wasn't so great. My parents were kind of like bikers, and my mom was a bartender. I'm in a bassinet sitting behind the bar, while she's working, that kind of deal. And, so I grew up, and I became a teenager and was doing everything I shouldn't be doing. I never really did drugs, anything like that, but I was drinking. That was my vice. And every time I would drink, I would just start getting into fights, and it was just no good, fighting people, friends and family, like just, really bad stuff. And so the funny part of it all is, to make a long story short, I was walking through a mall with my mother one day, and this Army recruiter was outside sitting there, puffing on a cigarette. And he walked past me, grabs me by the arm, and he's like, "You look like a young, strong, healthy man. What are you doing with your life?" And I said, "Not this." And I kept going. My mom said, "Turn around and go back, talk to him." So I did. And then when I actually signed up, I think she about, lost it, because she didn't think I was going to do that. And, but I ended up doing that. It straightened me out. I had a really good purpose in life in the military, and it's just, I enjoyed it. I really did. I loved all of it. Yes, none of it was always fun, but for me, it's where I belonged. So I felt great doing it.
Definitely. And you said, we talked in the green room, you said you started out at Fort Knox and wound up, you had to go into MOS you really didn't want at first, because there's, of course, waiting time to get a slot. You went to Fort Lee, and then you got to go to the mothership. And tell us about that journey.
Yeah, that was something. I've never heard of infantry slots not being open. But hey, I think the recruiter kind of BS'd me at the time. But it was right after 9/11 that this happened, so it's possible. So anyhow, they stuck me into a 92 Alpha slot, which was, I think, a logistics specialist. Shot me off to Fort Lee after Fort Knox boot camp, which, man, Fort Knox, just, that'll never get out of my head, that place. I mean, it was really, it was something. And then shipped me over to Fort Lee, Virginia, was there doing my training for AIT. The drill sergeant came up to me one day and was just like, "Hey, you wanted something having to do with going down and bedding, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, your wish came true. Here's your papers. Pack your shit," So went down and did all my training down there, and that's where I feel that my Army career actually started there, because I wanted to join it for what the Army was for. I didn't want to go to be a truck mechanic. I didn't want to go to be a plumber or HVAC guy, whatever. I wanted to join the Army to go defend my country and be one of the guys on the front line. So that's what I did.
Outstanding. And you were a 11 Bravo, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Airborne as well?
Yes, Airborne. I wasn't like never on any sorry, my thing fell. I was never on any like I don't got a gold mustard stain on my wing, so it's a 5 jump kind of deal. But
not many active have a mustard stain, believe me.
I know it's hard to see. Normally, the guys that have that, man, are you see a lot of gray in their beards, or if they're even in anymore. But yeah, that would always been my dream to do a combat jump into the GWAT era stuff. So
Definitely, I'm sure a lot of your brothers wanted that as well. Your leaders probably all wanted that because most of them probably came in after Panama or after any place where they could have jumped in, Grenada, Panama, and then
right.
they were in. Those are tweeners, so they didn't have any time to jump. And then you met them up right when we went on a ground invasion. So
Yeah, I did see a lot of guys that were in Operation Just Cause. Some other things, the Somalia incident, all that stuff that happened there. A lot of those guys had gold, had the mustard stain, and I was jealous, man. And then especially the guys with the CIB, with the star in the middle, the second. Just like, man, I always wanted that, but hey, it is what it is.
take what you can get.
That's it.
What was your first base you got stationed
at? Fort Benning.
You stayed at Benning.
Stayed at Benning for a while. Then was back up to Fort Bragg for a little bit, and then got deployed and was in Fort Irwin, California for a while, and then I did the desert warfare training out there at NTC. I'm sure you know about that.
A lot of fun.
And I loved it out there. I loved the desert, and I planned on when I came back from deployment, possibly moving out there, but it didn't happen that way. We got deployed to Iraq, and while in Iraq, we were right next to Fallujah. We were in the western area of Iraq. The Sunni Triangle is what they call it. You probably know that. And so that's when the injury happened. We did a lot of night missions, day missions. I did a lot of driving. So I did a lot of lights out, night vision driving. I was good at that. So I did that as well. And that was fun. But we went out on a mission one time. It was actually a raid, cordon off the area and do a raid. And I was looking for snipers because we knew that there was a lot of snipers in that area because a lot of guys were getting picked off, guys up in the turrets, gunners, stuff like that. So I had my M4 slung across, my chest with my right arm holding it. The left arm, I had a set of binos. There was a mosque in front of me. The roadways to my left. There's houses across the road. I'm across the street from there. Looking at a mosque because that's the highest point I see. And as my arms up like this, I felt it before I heard it. And I got a Dragunov sniper rifle round right through back of the arm, and it blew out inside here. I don't know. There's not really much to see now, but there's a big scar there. And that was bad. I didn't realize how bad it was. My hand it curled up and came up like this, I guess, from the nerves being severed and destroyed. So when that happened, I'm like, well, I'm good. It just hit me in the arm. I'm fine. So I laid over the hood of the truck. I'm, laying down some suppressive fire. And a buddy come up, he grabbed me. He's like, dude, get in the effing truck. We got to go. I'm like, I'm good, man. I've said I'm good. I'm good. It's just in the arm. And he's like, look down. And I looked down, and I didn't realize it, but it hit the brachial artery in your left arm. And dude, I was standing in a literal puddle of my own blood. And as soon as he said that, it's like, the tunnel vision started, the hearing was like, and the lights started going out, man. And that was it for me. I think I flatlined actually because of blood loss. They got me back to a base. I forget. I think it was Tacodum, TQ it's called. And it was a Marine Corps base. It was the closest base. And next thing I know, I woke up, I'm in a Chinook helicopter going to Balad or whatever, Anaconda, I think it was. So that was a wild trip, man.
I bet. Yeah. I was also in the Sunni Triangle in 03, 04 in Ramadi.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was in Ramadi too. Yeah.
That was my home for a year plus a month, so 13 months over there in Ramadi. All the way to Fallujah was our border. So
right.
So we actually fell under 82nd when I first got there. Then we fell under 1st Mardia, 1st Marine Division for the second half of our tour. So it was a wild time going from Army leadership to Marine leadership and learning Marine ways a little bit. It was a lot of
Right.
fun in a very beautiful place in the world.
Yeah, I actually have a second Mark Div combat patch.
There you
We
go.
were somehow attached with him while we were over there. But actually, this incident happened right by OP 611. I don't know if you remember that, since it's in between Ramadi and Fallujah where we were at. It was a little town called Modique.
Yeah,
So
that's Habanilla.
yeah, right up the street from it. Yeah. We was at Habanilla. That's where we was based out of for the most part. Our fob was at. I just seen something the other day that it's. I seen a warthog doing strafing runs in the Habanilla. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened there? Did they get taken back over? I guess I'm not sure.
Sympathizers, I think they call them.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we got a lot of them out there.
Yes, they're everywhere, not just there. They're here too.
Oh yeah, definitely here. But yeah, man, Rich, thank you so much for having me on, man. It's good to talk to another fellow combat vet.
No problem.
As you can see, it's dark here
Yeah.
behind me. It's just, I live like this, man. I'm quiet because of all this stuff going on now. So it's actually nice to talk to somebody.
And where are you at now?
I'm actually from Pennsylvania originally, just southeast of Pittsburgh,
Okay.
about a half hour. But now I have moved temporarily for a little while, and I'm right across the border in Ohio. So I'm about an hour and 20 minutes from the city of Pittsburgh. I had to get out and away from the combat zone, basically, because I'm in another combat zone is the way I look at it with what's going on and what we're going to talk about here today. So
Definitely. And, now you just got to learn how to spell that crazy word over there in Ohio. You have to be able to yell IO or OH and blend in as much as possible.
Yeah, they don't like me. I can't wear Steeler stuff around here. These people get all mad.
They go nuts.
They don't like it. They're all Browns fans. Well, there's a few Steelers fans, but they're all Browns fans, and the Browns suck.
Yeah, sucking for decades, not just
Yeah.
legal. But I mean, that's part of their life. That's their battle they have to fight, and you're in a different
Right.
battle. And I want you to go through this just kind of go step by step how this kind of started and where it went to.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so I got out of the military. I got retired in April, I think 2013. But I got married a few years before that. I was home because I got injured and all that stuff, and I was going through surgeries and rehabs. Ended up getting married to a girl. She was she's about 8 years younger than me. And it's a messed up story because she actually dated my younger brother, which
Oh man,
he's a Navy guy now, but I guess that's why she left him. But anyhow, it was all good back then. And then we got married, had the kids, 2 boys. And in 2016, I was having a lot of trouble with things, PTSD wise. I was on high doses of opiate pain medicines I was basically ripped apart and put back together a few times, and I had a lot of surgeries. Did have a lot of pain. I never took an aspirin before this happened. So, but that played a role because the mood's going on, and just it was no good. So anyhow, not just that, but I just didn't feel like things were working out. I didn't want to leave because I didn't want to lose my kids, but I didn't feel staying and being in a bad relationship would do them any good either, or myself or their mother. So anyhow, we move on, get divorced. I go my way, she goes hers. I stayed single for a while. She ended up meeting another guy. She's remarried. She got remarried to the guy. I had another kid with him a couple years ago. I was the weekend dad at first, every other weekend, and one day during the week I would see the kids. And that just wasn't enough for me, man, because my boys were my world, and they still are, even though they're not here with me now. But I had to do something. So met a woman that I've been with for about 6 years now. We're engaged. It's the longest engagement I think I've ever heard of. But I filed for 50-50 shared custody to get my sons. And their mother didn't put up a fight, which kind of surprised me. She was cool with it. So I moved out closer to where she lived with the kids and got a house there. Was doing the thing that had them every other, I had them a week, she'd have them a week, all that stuff. And then I started seeing that my kids quit their sports. Both of them played baseball since they were born. They tried out for football a few times. Now they just quit doing everything.
Oh, wow.
The older one started getting in trouble, experimenting with drugs, and I'm not going to say heroin or anything like that, but he was doing pot. I found some ecstasy pills in his drawer after this all happened and everything. So I wanted to get them more. Yes, I already had 50-50 shared custody at the time, but I needed more time with him as their father to get these kids back on the right path. I got my youngest one back active again. I got him signed up for karate because it's active physically, but it teaches you a lot mentally, and he needed that, and I thought it would be great for him. The older one, I couldn't get him like in anything at the time, and then I filed for more custody than 50-50 after I seen them kind of going down a bad path, I guess you could say. So when I did that, I talked to both of them. I said, hey, you guys cool with this? You guys can still see your mom anytime you want. I would never keep you from her. But as your dad, you guys are almost 18. You're a couple years away. I want to do what I can to form you guys to be young, responsible men and teach you how life actually works. They were cool with it. I went and got the papers, had them all done from the court, sent them to her. And I guess as soon as she got them, I didn't know all this was happening, but she had went up to the courthouse and filed for temporary emergency custody with a story that I gave or allowed my oldest son to have a marijuana vape pen. Now, mind you, I don't smoke. I don't drink. I would never give any kids, let alone my own, any kind of substances like that. The real story of what happened was my oldest son, as I told you, was experimenting with pot and some other things, getting in trouble. What I did as a dad, it's legal. It's not illegal. I made sure. But what I did as a dad is I went and got a CBD vape that didn't have any kind of Delta 9 derivative or any kind of hemp or anything like that that would get somebody high. So I bought that and I said, look, man, if you're going to do this stuff, do it at home here from me where it's safe. Tricking him. I didn't tell him it wasn't pot. That only happened like twice anyhow. So I think his mother and had convinced him to form this story that dad's giving me pot. And so take pictures of the vape. And he went home and took a urine test that she gave him. And he was positive for weed, which he was always positive for weed because that's all the kid does is smoke. And that's why I'm trying to get him off it. So what they did was took that story, ran with it, and that's when the courts got involved, the state police and the children and youth services, and that's where things really got bad. So I don't know. You want to go on to that? I'll be glad to tell you. I didn't know if you wanted to ask me.
At that point, did they came, I guess, to your place of work, your home, and probably did a search and all that stuff to try to find these items?
Actually, that's the strange part. They did not.
Wow.
Did not do. You know how I found out about it? Well, I knew she went to the courthouse because I was actually on my way to pick my kids up. I get a text message and it says, I have the boys in my custody until further notice, and sent me a PDF of the custody order, which, number one, that's illegal in most states, but in Pennsylvania, one party cannot serve the other party, especially via text message. She had a lawyer. 3 weeks later, the lawyer sent me the actual documents way late, and it wasn't even certified mail. So that's still improper service. The certificate of services that I got versus the one that's in the court are different. So now you got fraud upon the court there with that. So there's already a lot of stuff going on. She went to the state police barracks here, told them the same story. The trooper didn't even bother to investigate. On his affidavit, he did say, tried to make contact with Mr. Jackson, but yielded no results. And we're going to come back to that story, so remember that for a second, that part. And then I had the CYS investigation started at Children and Youth Services. Thank God. I don't like them, but I do like the lady, and I appreciate this lady because of all that's going on. This CYS investigator was on my side, the only person that took my side through this whole ordeal. She actually did her job, called me multiple times, asked me a lot of questions, and I was dead honest with her. She finally got back to me and said, Jeremy, I'm going to close this case. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm going to say it directly. I do not believe your ex-wife, and I do not believe your son's story. It does not line up. I see this kind of thing all the time. The timing of when you filed to get more custody and the timing that she went up there and filed emergency custody to take those kids from you, I see it all the time, and I'm not letting it happen. So they cleared me. She calls the court. She calls the state trooper, tries to call them, saying, hey, I investigated. Here's my opinion as a professional that works at CYS. He's cleared. Maybe you guys want to back off and give him his kids back. The state trooper never answered her call or returned it. Neither did the court. They proceeded with charges against me. I had to go to the state police barracks before ever having a hearing, and I had to get fingerprinted. I had to get photographed like a common criminal, man. And I was never in jail for anything. I think when I was younger, I got arrested and spent like a night in a slammer for a bar brawl or something like that. I've never spent time in jail for anything, especially harming children. So I was like really beside myself, like, man, this is serious. And they hit me with 2 charges. One was reckless endangerment of children, and the other one was corruption of minors. And I'm just sick, man, because I live for kids, and I was always great with kids, especially my own, So yeah, that state trooper never decided to call the CYS lady back. That's ignoring exculpatory evidence, which is serious. Anyhow, I had to go through a bunch of stuff, went to court over it. They kept dragging it on and moving the hearings, and it's just longer. I'm getting not to see my children. We're talking about 7, 8, 9 months at this time, and I'm doing all their monkey show because I don't care what I got to do. I want to get my kids back.
Right.
They sent me to do a 4-hour online parenting class, and to SPHS. It's like a behavioral health center that the court uses often. They sent me there for a drug and alcohol evaluation. It really pissed me off, upset me. It was all kinds of stuff. I'm like, why is this happening to me for trying to get more time with my sons? And I did it. I followed their rules. I went up there. I gave a urinalysis, which I didn't even know I was going to be doing. And this was like a 19-year-old girl that was interrogating me and watching me piss in a cup.
Wow.
It was clean. There was nothing in it. The lady said she was going to clear me, send a letter to the judge, and the charges would be dismissed. So I'm like, great, this is over with. I'll get the kids. It didn't work that way. The lady turned around and sent a recommendation that I need outpatient therapy, is what she did. Can you believe that?
Or opposite. Yeah. Imagine that.
She did the complete opposite of what she said she was going to do. And there was absolutely no reason for her to do that. So I'm sorry I'm talking a lot. I just want to trying to get it all out there and stuff.
This is how you get your story out there. And this is Jeremy Jackson, U.S. Army veteran, going through it. He's going through the roller coaster right now. If you're just joining us, a roller coaster of the legal battle. And he just shared, I guess, the prelim to what we're at now, and all the things he was going through, and no one really listening to him or his side. And already presuming, the way you're saying is they were presuming you guilty no matter what. They needed that number, and you couldn't be right. And I just listened to that, thinking if this happened to me, you have to feel helpless at this time.
Yeah, I mean and I'm not a helpless guy or hopeless guy. But I'm like I said, man, this is still right now a current ongoing thing. I'm going to tell you what all I've done so far. So anyhow, with the drug testing thing and forcing me to go to outpatient therapy, I smashed that real quick, because as soon as I got the letter, I called up there. I said, put a supervisor on his phone, and I told her, I said, hey, I see a VA doctor every 2 months. She wrote a letter. I said, I don't need this. You guys are going to amend that letter. I don't need any kind of outpatient therapy. And they amended that letter. The charges were completely dismissed. There was no null proce or, nothing like that. It wasn't like, where like, I'm guilty, but if I do this, it'll be cleared. No, I didn't. It was just dismissed. So at this point, I have been cleared of the false allegation made by the kid's mother. We're talking about 9 to 11 months after this initially happened. And then, may I remind everybody, during this time, my children's mother has brainwashed both of my sons into completely hating me. I have never had my son talk to me the way I never had a grown man talk to me the way my oldest son did through a text message one day, man. And it just about like, I thought it was somebody else on the phone. But so anyhow, she did a great job of brainwashing them. Somehow I'm now a monster and all that stuff. I don't get it. I honestly sleep good at night because I know I was a good father and a good person to those kids. And I didn't do anything to them. And all I can do now is hope that they watch these videos, because I make videos all the time on my Facebook page. It's open to the public to see. I document my story as it goes on. I hope they see that one day and realize that I didn't just walk away. I didn't just say, I don't want you guys no more. That's the complete opposite, to be honest with you. And I'm going to have to show them that. That's the only kind of hope that I have, is to keep continuing this fight. But the thing that's really scary, Rich, is when I started making these videos and going public with this stuff, I can't even tell you how many people have reached out to me. Like, some of them actually crying, leaving, like, you can send a Facebook message, like with your voice, like you can talk. Men and women, mothers and fathers calling me, literally crying because they don't have nowhere to go. The same thing happened to them, very similar situations. And this is all in the same county. So now I know we got a serious systemic problem here going on in this county. And then it started spreading out farther, my videos. I'm getting people from coast to coast, north and south, everywhere, messaging me that it's happening to them. This is a very bad epidemic that we don't even know that's happening. Like, normal people that's not involved in this kind of thing, you wouldn't know it's happening. But man, it is everywhere. These county court judges and family court judges and these child support offices, man, they are just destroying, and I mean destroying, families. They're ruining children's lives. They're ruining grown adults' lives by doing these things, and nobody's stopping it. So it's kind of like, what do you do as one person? You got a whole army of people crying behind you that's happening, but I got to build these people up so I can get them to fight back. That's how you get something to happen. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to be their advocate. I don't want that to sound bad. I don't want to be a leader for them in this, because this just sucks, and I don't want to be involved in it. But I do want to be a person that can help build them up to the point where, hey, go get a lawyer, don't get a lawyer, learn yourself like I did, and start going after these people. I got my dress green uniform, the new ones that just came out, the ASGUs, I think. I spent a lot of money since I'm retired. I had to buy them. I spent a lot of money on them because of one reason. I am going to march my ass to Washington, D.C. for a couple days, and I'm going to go into every single politician's office, the FBI headquarters, the DOJ headquarters, everywhere I can go with packets of paper with these stories and my story. And I'm going to start trying to get some oversight on this, man, because I don't know what else to do at this time. I have a federal lawsuit against all these people that were involved. But as you know, judges have almost absolute immunity. They have to pretty much come off that bench, stab somebody in the neck, and then they could possibly be held accountable.
Wow.
There's no accountability for these judges. And I'm not saying I'm against them, but when somebody does wrong, you're held accountable by somebody, right?
Yeah.
I can't find nobody to hold these people accountable except for me. That's why I started a federal lawsuit.
So before you did this, you just said you learned the law on your own, and yeah, I noticed you were using those big words like habeas and all that stuff. Those things, all I ever heard those on was like the law shows, Law and Order, and all the things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've heard those words there, but obviously you had to learn them the hard way. You had to go in and dig in and learn all these things. Have you had a lawyer with you at all, or you've done all this on your own?
When this first happened, when the kids got taken from me, I didn't know what to do. So as a disabled vet, I'm on a fixed income. I get whatever. I get 100% rated through the VA, which I'm thankful for. So it took me a little bit, but I was able to get a lawyer. I got two lawyers, one for the criminal charges and one for the family court issues and custody issues. They were both from the same law firm. They took $3,500 off of me to show up for one hearing and some emails back and forth. And they knew I was a disabled vet on a fixed income. They didn't care. So what happened is they didn't do their job, man. And it's not just they didn't do their job. I have a civil RICO case against all these people, the judges, the lawyers, the court, everybody involved. So you hear RICO, you know, the racketeering influence corruption charge that usually, you know, FBI would use against a mafia or a motorcycle gang or whatever it may be. I'm using the civil version of that against judges, lawyers, all these other entities and agencies and stuff that had a hand in taking my kids away. So yes, I have been like my own lawyer for the past 2 years. I have studied so much that I think I give these actual lawyers a run for their money in these courts when I go to hearings, and they're like, who's this guy? Where's he go? You know, and I'm not perfect at all by any means. I still got a lot. Every time I get in those court hearings, I try to keep my composure because they see right through it. You cannot go in there emotional. And it's very hard not to do that. So my advice to people, if they're watching this and going through something similar and you're representing yourself as a pro se litigant, you have to pretend that you are fighting for somebody else and their children. That's how you get through this. And that's how I get through it. It's the best way, the best advice I could give other people. But yeah, man, I never liked attorneys, never wanted nothing to do with laws and stuff like that. And here I am, like, you know, habeas corpus. I filed a King's bench on my own, which is for the Supreme Court. That is a very, very hard filing to get even accepted, let alone them to do anything. When you have a top-notch attorney, sometimes they can't even get them accepted. I did mine, and it got accepted, and it's pending right now. Wow. There's just so much stuff I did, man. I got the federal lawsuit done all by myself. I'm on my third amended complaint because I had to amend so many times because so many things have happened. But I think this is it. I'm going to let that ride, and we're just going to move forward with it. And I'm just going to hope for the best, man. Try to hold somebody accountable for this so they don't do it to anybody else.
Heck yeah, man. You're putting up the good fight. And you said before you don't want to be the advocate for others. You don't want to I guess like be that nonprofit for them, but you are a champion for them. Right now, you're that person that's out in front and showing them that there is a way. There's a way to get through this, and you can be that guiding light for them to do that. And being that champion, you also said you're going to take that march to DC, where the AGSUs, and go to those offices. I challenge you to do that, but I also challenge you to go to their local office, go to those congressman's local office, and just walk in there and say, "Hey, you don't answer my emails. This is what."
And they don't. And I'm glad you brought that up, Rich, because I have messaged, sent emails, letters to the OIGs, to senators, to state reps. I've had a couple state reps answer me back, but nothing ever got done. Nobody's ever done nothing, and most of them won't even acknowledge me. And I'm not some raving loony. I don't go in there saying, "Oh, this court is." I don't just start screaming corruption, because that will get you nowhere real fast. You have to be professional and know how to talk to politicians and people in, like, you know, the justice system, where they're just going to look at you like this is just a pissed off dad that had a court hearing go bad, and now he's salty about it. He's just going nuts. And I don't want. I get that all the time from some other attorneys that I go up against, and it burns me because, yeah, I am salty. Yeah, I am a father, but I never acted like that in any court. But they do things to try to get under your skin. And when you start attacking these people back, and I mean like filing things and keep going at them, they're not used to that. And that's why, Rich, I think this is such a problem, is because our constitutional rights, do they even exist anymore? I'm really questioning if we actually have any constitutional rights, because I've had so many of them clearly violated as a good upstanding citizen, a combat wounded veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. I was a volunteer fireman for a lot of my life. I've done a lot of stuff that's good. And it's like they didn't care. They just took my kids, whoosh, even after being proven innocent of anything. They never gave them back. And I have filed multiple times to get reinstate custody, and they keep denying it. So nobody gives me an answer of why they keep doing this. So my kids are going to be 18 soon. My oldest one will be 18 in August, and the next one's following is next December. They'll both be 18. So what am I going to do? Take them to trial court for custody? They'll be 18 before it ever gets seen. So it's kind of
the slow wheels of justice will run you over at that point, and
way too slow. But I'll tell you what, man, those kids can turn 30, and if this is still going on, I will still be right here filing stuff, showing up and going at them just because now you gave me a purpose. Maybe that's why I didn't die when I got shot in Iraq. Maybe this is why I'm here. And when I said I didn't want to be an advocate for people before, I didn't mean it in a bad way. I do want to inspire people that are going through this to help stand up for themselves. But I just didn't want to go lead people down a wrong path because I'm still learning that path myself. And if I go down this way and do things that are wrong and they follow me, that's where I feel bad. So that's why I just try to document everything I do. And if I can't help people because I'm not a lawyer, and they're really picky about that, practicing law without a license, and all that stuff. So all I tell people is watch my videos and here's what I did so you can get ideas, to see. So, but yes, man, this is awful. This is like another war. I'd actually rather be back in combat.
At least in combat, you kind of know who your enemy is. In this situation, you're in an asymmetric warfare right now without even knowing who your enemy is or the why behind the enemy. And you were labeled as wrong right away. And the battle you're in, and not knowing that there's so many other people going through it. And when you did the videos, you put them on Facebook, and all of a sudden the reach back came. Hey, brother, I went through the same thing. And hey, I went through the same thing. That kind of let you know that you're not really alone, and let them know they're not alone. And it kind of opened all those doors, those windows. And maybe if you get that whole group together and go kick in a wall, that might be what it takes to hey, there's something wrong with these local systems, these local court systems where he can get cleared here for everything, but you're still saying he's not fit to be a dad. That doesn't make a lot of sense in my mind or any normal thinking person's mind, probably.
And that's it. Any normal person's mind. And you know what? That's the other thing about this. So when they took my sons off me, I had 50-50 custody. So I did still have to pay support only because their mother don't work. She's not disabled or she just never did want to work.
Wow.
So I still had to pay like $480, even though I had them 50% of the time. When they took the kids from me, this is the other part this is the part that really ticks me off. I'll try not to use bad words, but this is the part that really ticks me off is after they took the kids from me, I went into the domestic relations office, which is the child support office. And I said, I'm going to terminate the child support. Since you don't let me see my kids, I didn't walk away or abandon them. You forcefully took my rights as a father away. So I'm not paying you no more. They did? They turned around, denied that, and they doubled it. So now it's at $1,400 a month they're taking from me for kids that I don't have the right to see. And that's another part that I hear a lot of people say, well, you're a dad. You don't want to take care of your kids. What's wrong with you? You're a piece of, And it's like, people don't understand, this woman is remarried. Her husband that she's with makes $120,000 to $180,000 a year. She's a stay-at-home mom with 2 other kids. I think they're doing just fine. They live in a $600,000 house in a fancy housing plan. They have new cars. They're not, if I don't pay my ex-wife, they're not going to go hungry is what I'm saying. But it's just the point of it. It's like, you stole my children from me, my flesh and blood, told me I'm not allowed to be their father no more, but you want to take my money. That is a problem. Like, it's all a problem, brother. But that is just another problem with it. And not only am I fighting the courts and judges, I'm fighting that bullshit office, that child support office, man, because they are using Title 4D, which is a government incentive program. Every time they make me or somebody pay child support, they get paid from the government. They get incentives. They're incentivized.
Wow.
And that's what all of this is about. And I want you to know this, Rich, and everybody else watching. These stories of courts taking away kids from the mother or the father for a false report or whatever it may be, and then putting them on child support and maxing it out. This is all a Kids for Cash scheme. It happened out here in eastern Pennsylvania, and I think I forget the name of the county out there, but it's in eastern Pennsylvania. Eastern Pennsylvania. It happened a couple years ago. It was called Kids for Cash. Local judges, family court judges, were getting kickbacks from having children taken from family members and put them in foster care and all that other stuff. I'm not going to go on here and say that right now, but I've been doing a lot of investigating with a couple other people, and it looks like that there's something like that going on with my case, but also all across the country.
Wow.
So when is the big federal government going to come down on these states and say, hey, we're not paying you to wreck families anymore? You know, I want to go to DC, and I have a pitch I want to give them. It's like, instead of incentivizing these county courts and domestic relations to rip families apart, why don't we incentivize you to do everything you can to keep them together? It's not that hard. Why can't we do that? And there are people that don't need to be around kids, even if they are mothers or fathers. And that's where I try to be careful with helping people, because I don't know their story. They could have actually had their kids taken from them because they are a bad person. They did molest their kid, or they did, beat their kid physically. They did mentally abuse that kid, and they shouldn't be around them. So that's why I try to be very careful with whom I try to help or assist, because you don't know everybody. Everybody comes to you with a story, and even you might not even know my story's true, but at least somebody like me, I can back it up because I got boxes of paperwork over that shows everything that I say. But that's another challenging part, man, is, it's hard to help people when you don't know them people.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we got a comment on TikTok for you. Brother, I admire your determination. I was married to two money-grubbing parasites that were using my kids as leverage against me just to get more money. And that's from Jake. He's the host of one of the hosts of my Tuesday crew, and he's downstairs at his room right now watching this. So he's probably punching walls down there and cheerleading for you. So you got him going, and then we got two questions from the audience as well up here. We'll go with the first one here from You Know It. What has been the most difficult part emotionally about navigating the legal system while also trying to remain present as a father?
That's a pretty good question. The most difficult part about navigating through the legal system on your own without a lawyer as a pro se litigant like myself is they don't take you serious all the time. They try to find problems with your documents you make. Even though they're acceptable and they're good, they still try to pick things apart. They move very slow. Whenever you want something from them or want them to act on something, they just take their good old time with it, or they just keep denying stuff. And trying to be a father, well, I don't have that problem right now because my kids are just gone. I wake up every day. It's like I hate to even say this, but it's like my children are dead because I don't get to see or talk to them whatsoever in this situation. But I still, that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing everything I can to get back with them and have a good relationship again, like we did before, and just be done with all this stuff. But now it's like kicking a hornet's nest. I'm not going to stop going to these people until I get some kind of result. So,
I mean, that's what you got to do, and I think I commend you for it. I know you don't want the pat on the back. You want the system to get fixed, but I'll give you the pat on the back now, and hopefully the pat on the back pushes you through things, and things will happen. Next question is from, it looks like it says Lemon Squeeze. Hold on. It does. Lemon Squeeze you. Jeremy, what was the moment during your recovery after being wounded in Iraq that required the most resilience from you? Thank you, Lemon Squeeze.
Yeah. Man, you know what? That was, it was just after having all the surgeries and stuff from what happened, it just all happened so quick. And honestly, to this day, I don't think it ever sank in. I'd never had a moment where I broke down and was like, wow, I think I actually died and I shouldn't be here, but I did have a really weird time back then when that happened. After I had all my surgeries and realized what happened, like I can move my arm, but it's numb. It's legally paralyzed. I can't feel it. So I think the hardest thing for me was the Army asking me if I wanted to stay in, me saying yes, and the big fight was against the medical board. They come into my hospital bed asking me, can you run a 10-mile ruck march can you carry your rifle with it? Can you shoot this? I'm like, I don't know what I can and can't do laying in a hospital bed for 11 months. I don't know. So that's what ultimately got me put out. And that was really hard for me because I'm the kind of person that needed guidance. I needed a schedule. I needed discipline in my life, or I felt like I would just fall to the wayside and just who knows where I'd be. So that was a very hard pill to swallow. And to be resilient was to accept it, that it happened, and just move forward and continue to do therapy to try to use my body parts as best as I could. But it did take a lot of resilience to just accept what happened and to know that my life, my career was just taken away from me so fast. And I never did it for the money. I did it because, like I said before, like Forrest Gump said, well, it was just like one of those round pegs just fit right in there. That's how I felt. So
you snort there. That was a good one.
That was a real laugh then, man. If you snort, that means it was real.
I'll go to the next question before you get me doing it again. Here we go. Very Dash Bull. In your opinion, what reforms would help ensure fairness and accountability in family courts? Very good question.
Yeah, that is a very good question. And I don't have an exact answer yet. I'm still working on that, but I do have some ideas. I think we need to go back to our constitutional rights again. The 14th Amendment is our due process. That is the most major thing in these family courts that are being overlooked. Meaning, when they took my sons from me through an ex parte emergency custody order, that means I was not there to defend myself. That's what ex parte means. So since that happened, I was supposed to be afforded a post deprivation evidentiary hearing. The court was supposed to set a hearing immediately after they took my kids for me to defend myself and to prove to them that what the other party said was false. They denied that. So I think there's so much so much needs reformed in the family court system right now that I think it should all just come to a screeching stop and halt. And they should just start working on this. We should put a team of people together like me, people that's been dealing with this for a while, and legal experts, obviously, that are experts in the law and the legal field, because I'm not an expert. I'm smart, but I don't know it all, but I can be useful because it happened to me. But that's just such a loaded question, man. And that's a good question. There's just so much that needs to be reformed. And it's just the processes of it all. You have to meet a certain stipulation. If you're going to take somebody's kids from them, you have to have a hearing, both parties in person, in front of a judge, in front of a jury. This ain't a parking ticket. This isn't something where it's just a judge and two parties fighting each other. There should be a jury of our peers there to judge something as serious as that. And we don't have that here.
Definitely. And right now, like you said earlier, you moved across the border into that other state there where the Wooden Buckeyes live. And
yeah,
you're not even in the same state with your family right now. So just to kind of find your peace in your mind away from that area. And
yeah.
Have you contacted like Fetterman or any of the senators in Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
and I know already that you haven't answered back.
Yeah, I actually sent John Fetterman's office an email, very polite, professional email, just not asking him to. I'd never asked none of these people to get involved in my lawsuit and fix it or something like that, because I know that they can't do that, and I want everybody else to know no politician can get in the middle of a lawsuit and do anything. But what they could have done is said, hey, I do have access to the Department of Justice Special Litigation Division, which in turn handles civil rights violations. And I can get you a meeting with them, which sounds like that's what you need. And just said, no, there's nothing. We can't get in the middle of that. We can't do nothing. And that's typically the line. If they answer back, it's not something we do. It's not something we can do. And they just shove it off, and that's it. I mean, if you've seen my emails and the stack of papers that I've actually physically mailed out to offices and people, it's about this thick, and I maybe got about 5 replies, and none of them want to help. So where do you go? You know, I don't know.
What do you do at that point? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know what I do. I just keep going and doing what I'm doing and building my record. And that's what you have to do. You have to keep building the record. Everything you do, document it. Everybody you talk to, document it. Everything you file, document it. Make copies. And that's how you build your record. So when you do get to federal court, if you do file a federal lawsuit, that's what happens. And I just want to, I'm not going to go on a tangent here. I know I talk, but if there's people watching this going through this, like I did, I filed a federal lawsuit. People need to understand, when you file a federal lawsuit for a situation like this, where your kids were taken off you from a messed up family court system and all that stuff like I'm going through, you have to know that federal court and that federal judge cannot reverse any kind of child support orders or any kind of custody orders. That's not what they're there for. They are there for civil rights violations that was committed by a government, state, county agency. That's what they're there to hold. I think there are some cases, like very serious things, where a federal judge can step in through certain kinds of writs and allowances from the higher up courts and people and stuff like that to get a kid away from a bad parent or something. But that's not the place to do that. Federal court is for civil rights violations, and that's where you get remedy for that. So.
Outstanding. And we'll take one last question from the audience, then we'll start wrapping this thing up here.
Yeah. Man, we've been on an hour already.
Almost, yeah.
Sorry, man.
It's good. It's good. That's how a show's supposed to go, not even knowing what it is. So
yeah.
This is from Extra You. What message would you give to someone who feels like they're fighting a system that isn't listening? Thank you, Extra.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a very good question. In today's day and age, like I was just saying, it's very hard to get no agencies. There's no one person, politician, agency that is going to come save us. And that's just the hard truth to swallow these days. And it's really sad. My best suggestion to you or to anybody in this would be to do what I'm doing, is to publicize it. Start making videos. Start posting about your case. Now, doesn't mean you make up things and just start calling the court corrupt, because that'll get you nowhere fast. You have to be professional about it. Tell your truth, your story. Make videos. It's easy to make videos. You can pick one of these up, a cell phone. It's not hard to sit there and record yourself, edit it a little bit, make it look cool, add some graphics, throw it on Facebook, start tagging people in it and share it. But I think all of us, we the people, are the ones that are going to be able and have to fix all of this. We can't rely on the government to fix anything. We the people are at the top of that pyramid, even above them. So we all have to band together as one when there's a problem like that's going on with these kids being taken away from good parents and parents fighting for years without seeing their kids. Like, how many people can imagine that? I never even thought this was something that could even happen to me. But yeah, my advice is to make it public. Let your fellow man and woman, your brother and sister, we the people, see what's going on, and ask everybody to start getting behind you and just making it public, because I don't want to say it, but corruption hates publicity. They hate it. So that's the best advice I have, is to do everything you do, make it public. And like I'm doing here with Rich in the MisFitNation, I'm here getting my story out. I know other people watching this is going through this, and it's sad to say that, but it's just how big of an epidemic that it is right now.
And I appreciate you sharing it, with letting the MisFitNation be a sounding board tonight and be part of this journey for you. I know we don't have a lot of, me and my other two hosts are not legal minded at all, but we are good listeners, and we can share your story and maybe help get someone out there that can listen and does know what they can do to maybe poke the bear and get people to push the right things and go in the right direction.
Yeah. Like I said, I really appreciate you having me on the show. I watched some videos of yours guys before. Very good subjects you guys have. And like I said, just getting this out public, that's all it takes is that one person to watch this that has the power to actually do something or to help, that sees this and says, hey, what's this guy's name? I want to contact. That's all it takes, man. That could change my life. It could change somebody else's life, so that's why I said, if you got issues, make it public. If you know you're in the right, you didn't do anything wrong, make it public. Tell your story to everybody and just keep doing it every single day,
Definitely. And as you said, get in contact. What's the best way for someone to get in contact with you if they want to pick your brain, all the things you've learned, or maybe join your fight?
Yeah, my Facebook page is just my own page. I don't have some fancy page. Just look up my name, Jeremy Jackson. And you can email me. Anybody can email me. My email address is armyjer, ARMYJER, the number 75 at gmail.com. So it's armyjer75 at gmail.com. You guys can send me anything you want. I'm always open to helping people with questions, things like that. I don't give legal advice. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you what I did, and I'd be glad to help anybody out there.
Outstanding. And my last question to you, Jeremy, as you're going through this battle and you're meeting so many opposing people, what's 3 things that the Misfit Nation, my audience, and our brothers and sisters out there can start doing tomorrow to be better people?
You know what? I mean, that's an amazing question, but I'll tell you what, the number one thing to do is always to be honest with yourself first. Because if you're not good for yourself, you're not going to be good for anybody else. So always have integrity for yourself. Always do the right thing, even when nobody's looking. And I don't know. I'm a helper. Like if somebody needs help them. It doesn't take much kindness to help somebody when they're in need. Just call somebody, talk to them, check on them. If you got a friend that served in the military that is quiet, don't come around, don't have any friends, call them and check on them. It doesn't have to be a military veteran, but anybody that lives alone, call and check on them. Stay close to your family because, man, I'll tell you what, time goes so fast, and I can't believe it. So love your family, your kids, man. Hug your kids tight because that's one thing I don't get to do, and I would give up the world to have that right now. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And my brother jumped in and said, never give up. So don't give up.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Absolutely. No, not this guy. They got the wrong guy for that.
They checked the wrong block on that one.
They sure did. They messed up with me, and I think I will make a change eventually. But yeah.
You became the bear they poked in this situation, and it's not what they're going to want in the end. So we're rooting for you here. Keep us abreast of what's going on, and thank you for coming on and sharing your story with the Misfit Nation. And don't forget to reach out to us if we can do anything for you in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you guys again. Thanks so much, everybody.
All right. Misfit Nation, thanks for hanging out with us tonight on this Thursday from Frederick, Maryland, and listening to the fight that Jeremy is in and seeing how much he's fighting. I want you to take that in your head and think about that when the darkness is coming in on you. Put up that fight. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Dial 988. Get the help you need. If you don't want to dial 988, we understand. We want to be anonymous. Phone your friends. Just like Jeremy just said, phone a friend. You have tons of friends out there that love you, miss you, will miss you if anything happens. Call them. If that don't work, contact us. info@themisfitnation.com, jake@themisfitnation.com, or steven@themisfitnation.com. Until next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because you know who we are.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.